my name is Leonie and welcome to another video. Today I want to talk about my auto-buy authors, which are my favorite authors, and whenever they publish a book, I will read it. I have 5, they're not in any particular order, except for the last 2 that I'm gonna mention are like my all-time favorite authors. You probably already know who they are. So my first auto-buy author is Marissa Meyer from the Lunar Chronicles. She wrote these beautiful books. It's funny because I've actually only ever read 1 series by her, and somewhere in fall she's coming out with a new book called Heartless, and I have to read it because it's Marissa Meyer. What I love so much about her books is that in some way she is able to combine like space and battles and, you know, action with just this innocence and heartwarming cuteness of fairy tales and first love and young people. She writes fairy tale retellings and she really captures the essence of fairy tales. My next favorite author is Rosamund Hodge, who wrote Crimson Mount and Cruel Beauty. Now I do have to mention the fact that these are my favorite authors doesn't specifically have to mean that I love all of their books. It just means that there's something about their writing and their books that I really like, and so I would just always want to know what they're gonna come out with next. Rosamund Hodge is a good example of this because I gave Crimson Mount 3 stars, I give this book 4 stars. I definitely saw flaws in both of these books, but what I love about her books is that 1, she always writes these very flawed main characters that are very much kind of anti-heroes, and 2nd, I love how she writes magic system and settings. Like every time she writes a book, there's just this really original and unique magic system, and she's always able to weave in her own mythology into the books, and I really love that. So whenever she comes out with a new book, I just want to read it because I want to know what she came up with next. She's coming out with a new book this September. It's called Bright Smoke Cold Fire, and I really want to read it. I'm really looking forward to it. And the next one is Alison Goodman, the author of The Dark Days Club, but also the Iona duology. Now, I don't physically own the Iona duology, but as you may know, I absolutely loved that duology. I gave both books 5 stars. We also have The Dark Days Club, which I also liked, but didn't think was that great. I gave it 3 stars, but still, Alison Goodman is one of my favorite authors, and the reason for that is that she is so good at world building. Like, she will just take this setting, cultural setting, like for example in this book it's Victorian England, and in the Iona duology it is ancient China, and she will just show you how much research she has done because her world building is so rich and so detailed, and you can really see she completely understands the world that she's writing, and I absolutely love that. Also, in both series that I've read of her so far, there's a slow burning romance, and I really love slow burning romances. And now onto my 2 favorite authors of all time. You probably already know it. The first one is Leigh Bardugo, who wrote the Grisha trilogy and also 6 of Crows. Now, Leigh Bardugo's The Grisha trilogy is the first fantasy book I ever read in my life. The first one ever. I think that's also just kind of like a sentimental reason why I love her book so much. It's kind of hard to judge her writing because all the books that she's written so far are set in the same world. So I don't know if it's just that I love that world or that I love her writing, but I also definitely like her writing style because she has this very whimsical, atmospheric writing style that I really like, and she is not afraid of including dark elements in her stories, and I also really like that. And since I have loved every book she's put out so far, I have no reason to not read everything she publishes. And the next author is a new addition to my favorite authors of all time, and that is V.E. Schwab. She wrote a lot of things, but the things that I read are... That's just me dropping a book written by my favorite author. In the arms of the angel. Great. Basically, the first time I read one of her books was A Darker Shade of Magic. Wasn't very impressed except for the fact that I absolutely loved her writing style, but I wasn't like super blown away by this book. Then I read Vicious, and you all know how I feel about Vicious. And then I read A Gathering of Shadows, which I also absolutely loved, and at that moment I was like, okay, new queen. Even though V.E. Schwab is like on par with Leigh Bardugo, I definitely think V.E. Schwab's writing style is my favorite. It's a very simple writing style, but there's something about it that's really good. It's really hard to explain. How do you explain writing styles? So if the book would be ice cream, then V. Schwab's writing style would be like sprinkles on top. You know, it doesn't add any taste, but it gives it crispiness and it gives it a bite and therefore somehow makes the book better. So like Leigh Bardugo's writing style would be like chocolate sauce. It adds extra flavor to the story itself. But V. Schwab's writing style complements the book itself. It makes the book itself better. It's sprinkles. Does this make sense? As you can tell, I'm very good at metaphors. And those were all of my favorite authors. I will see you soon with another video. Goodbye! BOOMBAYAH!